Vietnam and China youth foster diplomatic ties and cultural exchange. Later on, removing bottlenecks in capital access for private enterprises. Good evening and welcome to today's headlines, your go-to bulletin for the most important stories shaping the day. Now, Vietnamese and Chinese youth and students are serving as young cultural ambassadors, building bridges of friendship between the two countries. Party General Secretary Tô Lâm emphasized this point during the Meeting Vietnamese and Chinese Students of All Periods program, part of the Vietnam-China Humanitarian Exchange Year 2025, held this morning. The Party General Secretary expressed deep gratitude to China's party, state, and people for their valuable support of Vietnam's revolutionary cause, both in the past and in the current national development efforts. He also urged relevant agencies to enhance bilateral cooperation in education, training, and youth exchange programs. Now, also on the same day, the Party General Secretary welcomed and worked with U.S. Senator Stephen David Daines on future bilateral cooperation. The party chief thanked the leaders of the U.S. Congress and the Republican and Democratic parties for supporting the development of bilateral relations and asked the senator to continue to support and promote harmonious, sustainable, effective, and substantive cooperation. Senator Stephen Daines hoped to continue cooperating with Vietnam in preventing drugs and illegal immigration. He affirmed that he would soon convey Party General Secretary Tô Lâm regards to President Donald Trump, continuing to contribute to the relationship between the two countries. Receiving former Special Ambassador for Vietnam-Japan relations, Phie Ryotaro on Thursday, Party General Secretary Tô Lâm expressed respect and deep appreciation for his contributions to the relationship between the two countries. The party chief expressed his hope that in the coming time, the Japanese former ambassador would continue to coordinate with ministries, sectors, agencies, and Vietnamese organizations in humanitarian activities. The former ambassador suggested ideas to support Vietnam in improving school infrastructure in remote areas, preventing diseases, establishing a symphony orchestra for visually impaired children, and promoting tourism and Vietnam's specialty products. Moving on to other news, State President Lương Cường received Dominican Ambassador James Francisco Rodriguez as he bid farewell at the end of his tenure. The leader praised the ambassador's contributions in fostering high-level delegation exchanges, organizing cultural events, and enhancing bilateral relations. Recognizing the Dominican Republic's role in Latin America, State President Lương Cường reaffirmed Vietnam's commitment to strengthening comprehensive cooperation. He also urged both sides to implement agreements signed during Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính visit to boost economic and investment ties to their full potential. Prime Minister Phạm Minh Chính recently met with foreign investors in Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu. He praised Long Sơn Petrochemicals expansion plan, bringing total investment to $6 billion and assured government support for resolving business challenges. The Prime Minister also welcomed Hyun Sung's $4.6 billion investment in Vietnam and pledged an additional $1.5 billion while the company committed to long-term production. Now, Warburg's Pincus-backed Ho-Cham project company received government backing for its transport route proposal, which aimed to enhance connectivity and boost local development. the Prime Minister reiterated Vietnam's commitment to facilitating foreign investments and improving infrastructure to attract more international businesses. Small and medium-sized enterprises participating in value chains, industry clusters, or innovation sectors can access preferential capital at interest rates 30% to 40% lower than the market rate through the Small and Medium Enterprise Development Fund, the Ministry of Finance has stated. However, in practice, challenges remain.
This enterprise is part of the rubber mold production chain for Toyota, Tesla, and Honda. With a $254,000 investment in high-tech machinery, loan capital has been crucial in optimizing production costs and boosting competitiveness.
Lower equipment depreciation makes it easier to compete. When we bought this machine, we received more orders from FDI enterprises wanting to reduce production costs in Vietnam, and we met their criteria.
9 banks are currently associated with the fund to appraise loan applications, but many are rejected due to process issues.
Banks have varying interpretations, with decisions depending on the branch and credit officer, leading to documents being sent and returned. Businesses are disappointed, hoping to borrow inexpensive capital.
To overcome difficulties, associations act as bridges between businesses by offering free training programs.
In many sessions, we invite the fund to the association's headquarters for direct consultation organized by the industry and job groups the fund focuses on.
By the end of February, the fund had approved loans exceeding $37.6 million, with this figure expected to rise sharply once procedures and appraisal criteria are simplified.
Coming up next, Vietnam's ranked second in Southeast Asia for happiness. And large-scale transnational marijuana trafficking ring busted. Welcome back to today's headlines. In the World Happiness Report 2025 released today, Vietnam's ranks 46th out of 143 countries and territories. Now, within Southeast Asia, Vietnam holds the second spot behind Singapore. Meanwhile, Finland remains the happiest country in the world for the 8th consecutive year. According to the Wellbeing Research Center at the University of Oxford, UK, Vietnam is among the countries with a rapidly rising happiness index over the past 3 years. Factors positively influence happiness include GDP, high life expectancy, and social support, while corruption negatively impacts the index. Tuyên Quang Police, in coordination with the Ministry of Public Security, have dismantled 3 major drug and marijuana trafficking networks. Over 600 kilograms of drugs and 5 liters of marijuana oil were seized, and 7 individuals have been charged. The networks operated through the private social media groups and delivery services. Drugs were smuggled from Thailand into Vietnam, with ringleaders based abroad. Marijuana was mixed with synthetic drugs to increase addiction, and many cafes and bars were found selling it to young customers. The case remains under further investigation, ensuring that all individuals involved are prosecuted under the law. An Giang Province held a grand ceremony in Châu Đốc City to receive the UNESCO certificate recognizing the Festival of the Lady of the Sand Mountain as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. The event also marked the official inauguration of the 2025 festival. Now, with a history spanning over 200 years, the festival honors the Lady of the Sand Mountain, revered as a mother goddess. It represents the Vietnamese tradition of mother goddess worship, an important component of the nation's cultural identity. The festival will take place from the 22nd to the 27th of the 4th lunar month. Restoring and planting new mangrove forests will limit coastal and riverbank erosion and create a rich ecosystem. The forests provide an ideal habitat for aquatic species and sustainably maintain a coastal aquaculture productivity. Now, just over an hour's drive from the center of Ho Chi Minh City is the immense green carpet of the Cần Giờ mangrove forest, Vietnam's first biosphere reserve recognized by UNESCO in 2000.
The core and buffer zones of the Cần Giờ mangrove forest span over 34,000 hectares. Nearly 2/3 of the forest area has been replanted and fully restored, while the rest is natural forest.
Cần Giờ is the fastest artificially restored mangrove forest in the world. It also ranks among the highest-ranking worldwide in terms of biodiversity and species composition. 35 out of 42 species in Vietnam are found in the Cần Giờ mangrove forest, which boasts a high diversity of plant species.
The Cần Giờ mangrove forest is also home to 2 rare plant species and 9 rare animal species. The mangrove ecosystem also benefits local people.
A 100-meter stretch of mangrove forest can reduce wave speeds by 90% and wave intensity by 50%. This means that the current length of the mangrove forest is a very solid green shield for Ho Chi Minh City and neighboring provinces.
The District People's Committee has directed the Protective Forest Management Board to develop a plan for ecological tourism within the protective forest area. This plan focuses on building a sustainable development foundation to maintain the district's existing ecological system.
Of the 160,000 hectares of mangrove forest left in Vietnam, only Cần Giờ recovered from the worst devastation and chemical toxins. Therefore, the city government and the people have put great efforts into protecting this green lung.
Now let's take a look at the weather forecast in Vietnam and around the world. And that's the end of today's headlines. To rewatch our program, you can download VTVgo on our mobile application or visit our YouTube channel, VTV4go. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.